Good.
All right, it's 6 o'clock on May 19th. This is a regular session meeting of the Somerset School Board. We are already in session as this meeting began at 4 o'clock. We had a roll call vote at that time. Everyone was in attendance. So we'll continue with the agenda. So we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As I mentioned, we already did roll call. District mission, core values, and reminders are all there. Please take a minute to look at them. We have already approved the agenda. So we'll move to public comment. I received no public comment request. Shannon, did you? No. And there's nobody in the audience. Number 3, proposed coaches pay increase. Sorry, no public in the audience to give public comment. My apologies. You're up.
Great. You open that. You open them.
Yep, you betcha.
Just open like one of them. We don't need all of them. So I'm here to discuss. Back in March, we started talking about some of our budget items when I presented on our budget, where we were, and some of the good things that we were doing within our athletic budget. And then I came back to you again with the proposal that you guys approved to move on with increasing some of our fees to generate a little more revenue, and then in turn we'll be increasing our officials' fees. Back in March I did mention one thing that hadn't been worked on in about 10 years at least is coaching pay increase and activity pay increase. And so that's what this one's about today, is to kind of give you a quick overview of where we're at and where I'm proposing us to go. So previous to 8-10 years ago is what I'm finding out, all coaches' pay was tied to the contract. So if the contract received a bump, coaches' pay received a bump. That part of it was removed, and so at the time I was told that, I wasn't here by the way, but at the time I've been told that they said, well, they revisit it. Well, it hasn't been revisited for a while, and so here I am revisiting it, and my proposal is such that it's not tied to the contract bump pay, but I've got a structure in play here. Will you open that up now?
Yep.
Of where it's kind of based on time put in. And so what would happen is, if somebody is, so our current pay structure, if you look at the head football coach, for instance, is listed in the white column, and then if they've worked 0 to 3 years, that would be their pay. 4 to 6 would be their pay, 6 to 9, 10 plus. A couple things that I like about that is, one, we do evaluations each year, so it's not just an automatic pay increase for somebody. Just, if the teacher salary goes up, everybody goes up. This is kind of based on, well, years of service you've put in. We want to recognize that, and then on top of that, it's not a huge increase. As you can, I did a lot of different figuring at the bottom of it. I think it's before you as well. You can see what we're proposing each difference would be based on where people are at right now on their years of service. And so, can you scroll to the bottom of that, please, Alicia?
Yep.
So based on the current year's placement for the 25-26 fall sports would be increased by almost $1,500. And we could go through all the tabs, but like I said, that's been presented for you. I'd let you do that kind of. One caveat, you should know that in our handbook, after 10 years of service, there's a $500 stipend or bonus, so to speak, for every year added on. So if somebody coaches their 11th year, they'd get a $500 on top of what they're making right now. That also has not been enforced. In talking to some coaches that we have had on staff for 10 to 20 years, they have not seen that $500. So we're not back paying that, but we're kind of setting this would be where we're at, and then we'd kind of move forward with that. Some of the other things that maybe you're thinking of like tracking it isn't an issue, because every year I do a spreadsheet similar to this, where I list who's all getting paid, what they're getting paid, and then I would just add a column of years of service. And so then we would just be able to do that. I would pass that on to Rochelle, like I always do. She would generate their LOAs, and kind of away we'd go. A couple things about it also. So I think in total we talked $7,000 to $9,000 is what we'd be putting on the bill, on the docket for this year in the Fund 10 category, and about $4,500 approximately in the Fund 80 account from the middle school stuff. If you remember, we talked about how we increased some of the revenue. Some of the stuff we pay out of Fund 10 can be paid out of my Fund 21. And so some of the revenue we're making off of our scoreboard advertising can be shifted into that, and then this could be absorbed in our Fund 10 account via the fact that I could put some of my spending that way. So really I'm looking at adding $11,000-ish to get us back up to speed for many years of not getting anything. And but yet I really don't think it'd be adding much to the budget at all, to be honest, just because I can take some of my spending and shift it to where we're making some of our revenue off our advertising.
So this is representative of where people are today, that's that years of service?
Correct. So left-hand
On the far.
column, this is what's exactly what everyone was paid this year. So the head coach is paid at the $46.92. So what I would recommend is if you could slide to the right a little bit. So over here, this is where they're at years completed. So this would be the new pay for the head football coach. He'd be in year 3. Once he completes year 3, then he's going to shift up to the next category, the year 4 through 6. So basically, they're kind of locked into that pay range in 3-year cycles, so to speak.
And how does this compare to neighboring districts?
So head coaches is easier to look at. Head coach pay, we are probably ranked about 6th on average out of 8, meaning the lowest. There's about five schools ahead of us, and a couple right with us.
As of today or with that? Both?
That doesn't jump us a whole lot. Just for comparative notes, if we were to say throw it onto the salary of paid off based off of our base, so easy number to look at, the 4,700 there on the far right, column I. If we were to be paying it based off the base, that number would be almost 5,200. Now again, that's a nice way of going about it. It's been done that way for many years by many districts. Hard part of that is you're going to be adding a lot bigger bump once, and then you're kind of at the mercy of, well, this year we can't afford that. This kind of keeps it consistent. That's what I like about it. It's something, when I was at my previous district, we implemented just before I left, and 8 years later I checked back in, they still have something like that in play. Few other schools in our conference, they did mention that that's kind of what they do too, is just kind of, it's just a little bit of a caveat of, hey, I've been here a few extra years, here's the little extra money. So basically, then kind of head football coach resigns for whatever reason, new guy goes back to year 0, goes back to whatever that is in year 0, so well, that is 4,700. But next year he'd be at 4,800. So anytime it resets, anytime we get a new person in a job, and I even went so far as to, okay, head coach, for instance, spent 10 years as assistant, but I'm only giving the years in the role they've been in, because it's too hard to bounce around between.
0.
Well, I was an assistant for 12 years, now I'm the head coach, so that's what I kind of, when I was collecting years and just trying to, as I communicate a little bit with the coaching staff about it, that's where I landed at.
Does this affect coach selection process at all? Is it like, if once you get in, you're trying to stay in so you can, get that bump? It's not a big bump, not a big factor.
Right.
But
I mean, like I stated, we still go through an evaluation process. It's my job as the athletic director, I'll evaluate on their work. Obviously, if we don't think that they're doing the job that they're capable of, but to be very honest, we don't have a lot of coaches beating on the door to be coaches, so. And the coaches we have, like, I've only done it 2 years, I've been in the district 8 years, I would find a minuscule amount of people that wouldn't qualify to keep moving on, right? Like, we've got really good staff right now, like across the board. Our head coaches have it all dialed in. A lot of times they play a good role in finding assistants. But to answer the question, you know, we'll have something in place so we're not just punching the card and moving them on. And that's what I do like about it, because the other way, you just have to exist and you're gonna get a pay raise. Because if you guys raise the teacher's salary, the coach's salary goes up. And I think that was part, I don't know, I'd be making an assumption, but it's part of why they went away from it, I think, is they didn't like that, or was not sustainable at the time.
So refresh my memory, going with the middle school for Fund 80.
Correct.
And the reason for that is?
That's where all middle school funding is going through right now.
Okay.
That's the reasoning for that. So I mean, that's why I put it there. I mean, we can put it wherever we want. We meaning you.
I think coaching was one of the things we saw in the student survey. So I think not this addresses all of it, but this could help.
You know, and like you see, the first bump, they're not going to make, you know, if they're in 0 to 3, I went with round numbers to help kind of set the tone, and then those numbers could be whatever number you wanted them to be, but like obviously we didn't want to make anyone go backwards. And that, I would say by, you know, those 6th year to 9 year, those head coaches' pay are pretty in line with more of the average in the conference, but it is wide ranging. Oh, I think Altoona's a little bit of an outlier because they're down by the Eau Claire, so they maybe have a little more of a bump, but you know, everyone else by us, we're competitive with them. But by no means would this put us at the top.
Any other questions? All right, so this will come back to the June 16th meeting because of scheduling.
Yep.
So not next meeting, but the following. If anybody has any questions in the meantime, please reach out.
For sure.
Fine with that?
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, next item, reports. Listening session, obviously we did not have one tonight. That was published that we would not have one. So we'll go to superintendent report.
Yep, just a reminder, there's a parent engagement survey out for parents. It was sent through Infinite Campus about a week and a half ago. Open until May 30th, part of our strategic plan of sending this survey out annually. Right now we have 265 responses, which is good. We'll send another reminder out probably next week to see if we can get another wave of responses, and we'll take a look at that and just continue to use that information for continuous improvement. And then social school for EDU. So I've been doing a lot of work with the company kind of behind the scenes, trying to get them access to our Facebook. You know, they provided me last week kind of a long checklist of things that they wanted done by last Friday in order to get everything set and off and running. June 1 is the plan. So officially June 1st they'll take over all of our platforms, which is Facebook, and we are getting rid of our high school Instagram page, and my district Instagram will be turned over to them. So we'll have a Facebook and an Instagram. They don't navigate Twitter, so Troy will continue to navigate his Twitter account with our activities and athletics. But there's been a lot of work behind the scenes, trying to get them everything they need, which will be great. So June 1 they'll be off and running.
Okay. Any questions on financial reports or enrollment reports? All right, number 5, policy 3210, staff ethics. This was requested by Danny. I'll turn it over to you.
I was just taking a look at our policy and found another policy that is a Neola policy as well, but just a lot, has a lot more things covered in it, and I liked some of those other things mentioned in there. I just think that that could eliminate future problems, and I know we are always trying to get ahead of problems. So I thought it was a good thing for everybody to take a look at, and if people would like it to go to the policy committee and run it by Ed, or run it by the attorney, or whatever any next steps might be.
So what are the main differences?
What letter?
There's one letter that,
Letter,
Pretty
is
much.
it letter H?
yeah.
Which is basically, no political flags, political posters, political sayings, things like that. We try to be in a non-political environment, neutral educational environment for kids. Unless, of course, that kid is involved with that initiation of something that's their, from what I understand, their First Amendment right. So, yeah, this is just for staff ethics and code of conduct.
The biggest difference I see is that our current policy has 8 specific items listed, while this one has 19. And the reason our policy is shorter is because the other items in the Muskego, Norway schools policy are addressed in our employee handbook. And as far as that little part in letter H, it's really covered already with what we have in our H, which states refrain from using position or public property or permitting another person to use an employee's position or public property for partisan, political, or religious purposes. At the time this policy was adopted or last revised a couple of years ago, we did not think it was necessary to give a list of examples because it was already covered in letter H.
Any other discussion?
Does Neola show where it's adopted otherwise, or do they have other references from other districts?
Well, I have Arrowhead passed this policy which prohibits religious and political signs in July of 2023. Oak Creek Franklin passed a similar policy June 2023. Kettle Moraine has a similar policy since 2022 that prohibits staff from religious or political flags, including thin blue line, New Back the Badge, and pride flags. Muskego, we already talked about. Waukesha sent a letter to staff in August 2021, banning the classroom use of Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, Thin Blue Line, etc., or other posters and materials related to the such. So, similar things going on in other districts around Wisconsin. This is not unusual to bring this up.
My recommendation is that bring it to the policy committee and work further on it.
I looked at them, I think between our handbook and the policy, I feel like we're covered. And I've said it before, with other policies, I don't want to get in the position of just chasing after the next policy. If we have a problem, I think we should be addressing it 100%. I feel as though we're covered as our handbook and policy state today. So I'm not interested in further exploring it unless there's some specific instance that we need to address.
So our current policy and handbook combined covered what Danny explained. Like we wouldn't allow thin blue line flag or a bright flag currently. So there's no real effective change other than just clarity and wording.
That's my interpretation. Shannon, do you have any input on what the handbook, how that would address the?
I'd have to look it in front of me. I don't know if there's a current issue. I guess that would be my first question.
No, just getting ahead of
Because I had
issues.
staff contact me and wondering if there was an immediate concern, if somebody had brought somebody to the board, that somebody, a parent, a constituent, somebody brought something to the classroom, because that is something I would want to be able to address now versus wait until the policy committee. I don't have it in front of me. I could certainly provide some more information later. It hasn't come up any time that I have known recently, so.
Yeah, it's my interpretation that it's, nothing would change. I changed that language on the policy.
Yeah, I agree with Matt. Need to see me talk to the policy committee.
Lori, Ian, Steve, Steve, you
We
said.
have a big pile of policies to go through right now, and I guess I would prefer to spend our time addressing what is needed to be reviewed and updated.
Ian, before you give an opinion?
I'm really trying to see the difference.
Well, I think if Danny's interested in it and she's on the policy committee, and if we agree from the spirit of the rule, we wanna make sure we're covered, that we're equally representing all viewpoints or lack of expression of such viewpoints. I think, which it seems like we are, and it's up to Danny if she wants to look into it further and report back. I don't think there's any harm in it. Because I think it's definitely something that likely will keep coming up to some degree. And if we have the more clear we are, the better about being able to quickly respond to any complaints or issues that pop up.
I think that's what
Yeah.
Danny already did.
Yeah.
She looked into it and brought it. I mean, there's a difference between that and going to the policy committee.
I guess I don't understand why we always have to wait for something to happen to make change.
I think that, and I know I've already spoken, there was an email from a staff member today, and I thought a couple of examples, by changing a policy, that actually it creates more confusion. And I think as it stands today, it's not confusing. Ian?
I don't see the huge difference other than specifying specific things, which can get sticky because of what isn't specified.
I think the question here, I know we don't have this on here for possible action, but the question would be,
Yeah.
do we recommend it to go to the policy committee or not? We're not taking action on changing the policy. Historically, we've decided that the majority of the board says, yes, policy committee look at it, or not.
But can the policy committee look at it anyway? Aren't they the committee? If they give
Yeah.
a recommendation, we can act on it.
Well, it's
if
not listed on the document, the document. Currently, it's not listed on the document that we all have access to.
And we had agreed that, rather than just everyone pulling policies, we'd agree as a board, if it's not on a document from Neola, what do we look at, what don't we look at? So I guess the question is, would the majority of the board like it to be looked at by the policy committee or not? And I'm hearing 3 no's, 3 yeses.
How about the dress code one that's specifically in there? It's kind of unique.
That's included in our employee handbook. Actually, I can even tell you, it's section 1.3.28.
What is
It's a
this?
learning opportunity for me. What's the difference in not following policy versus not following handbook?
Almost everything in our employee handbook refers to a policy as well. So they're pretty much equal in terms of governance, along with our employee contracts. Shannon, would you add anything to that?
Can you read that handbook paragraph in there regarding the?
I would have to open the.
Okay, I thought you had it.
I did have it open and I noted where it was.
Can you read what number it is again?
1.3.28 talks about dress.
I think Steve's asking about are you talking about the policy 3210 staff ethics and posters and flags, or are you
Well-
talking about dress code?
We're saying that that's covered in this policy. Because 3210, this revision here has dress in accordance with position
Oh, I see.
requirements. So I'm trying to see if what we're referring to in the handbook is similar to that, or if there's any differences.
Yeah, it's similar.
So it would be 1.3.28 is what we're addressing in the handbook.
Yep. You're welcome.
Ian, do you have an opinion, or do we want to let people take a look at that handbook and then just throw it on the agenda in 2 weeks and decide?
If it feels nice, I mean, I don't see a reason.
A reason to.
I don't see a reason to address it, given the difference in the languages. I don't think it's really impactful either way, other than adding more words to be confused. But if we want to look at the employee handbook, address a concern, bring it up again, that's fine.
We'll go through the employee summary.
Okay, so let's just bring it back in 2 weeks on the agenda, and that gives people time to look at that specific language in the handbook, and we can make a decision at that point whether it goes to the policy committee or not. Sounds
good.
Fair? Okay, so that can come back, Alicia? Great. Number 6, discussion of Director of Business Services and Operations position. I'll start. So everyone got a copy from Shannon, correct, from CISA of their proposal if we wanted to essentially outsource that position. I hope everyone looked through it. It looks like $785 a day is their charge. So if you do the math, I just did kind of some rough numbers of how many days, come up to just over $200,000 a year is what it would cost us to have that position. I also did reach out to CISA and asked, if we wanted to keep it in-house, what do they do for kind of a consulting fee to evaluate our current operations? So they said it would be roughly 3 days. They would be here on site one day. They'd look at job descriptions, processes, and give us, essentially a report on how many staff do we need, who does what role. That charge is $785 per day as well, and we would plan for 3 days to have them here.
Could they do that in the next 2 weeks and then give us a recommendation, or is that something they would want to do?
I did not ask how quickly. I can email or call tomorrow and find out.
So basically, it's an audit of the current operation that we have with the positions, including the directors.
Yeah, so essentially I asked if we hired and filled that position, would they come in and look at our operations?
Right.
Figure out, are we understaffed, are we overstaffed? Type of thing.
I think it would be beneficial to get that audit before we fill
Right.
the position.
Agreed.
So I'm just thinking, we post it, the information we've heard, I think, a few different times, that we should probably get this out there. There's not a lot of, this is not a high interest position. We can do the audit, and if we end up not thinking we need it, we don't have to hire anybody, but at least the position's posted and this is started, and then if we hear from CISA that we do, hey, this is what we think, we at least would be 2 weeks ahead instead of waiting 2 weeks.
Yep.
So I'd make a motion to post current Director of Business Operations position and reach out to CISA for an internal audit.
And what would you put for a closing date on the posting of the position?
Shannon, what are those, 3 weeks from when they're posted?
You tell me. I mean, we can do it open until filled, we can do, 2 weeks minimum, for sure.
So what's 3 weeks from now? I'm gonna say our next meeting is the Wednesday, the 6th or something?
The 4th.
That's the 4th.
So could we do it Friday the 6th, it closes? And then we could always change it, we could get a report on the 4th, hopefully. If not, hopefully have something by the 4th. We could reach out to CISA, and then
So,
by then we could, until filled, or
yeah, maybe we could put,
take next steps.
post it until June or 6th, or until position is filled.
Bruce, can you just restate that motion?
Make a motion to post for the Director of Business Operations, Services and Operations position. And hire CISA 11 to do an internal audit of our business office.
Alicia, you got
3
that?
days.
The
make sure you got that?
Yep.
Okay, so there's a motion by Bruce, there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Lori, and then discussion. Now, Steve, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think there's a possibility too that we can hire CISA for a temporary period of time until we hire somebody 3 or 4 months down the road, just to buy us a little time to find the right individual and be able to audit the operation.
Okay. So as part of my follow-up tomorrow, I'll also just inquire about what would that look like? Because I'm a little confused of, so much is done here in-house, if all of a sudden someone's outsourcing, like, what does that actually look like? So I will get some information on that as well for the next meeting.
Yeah. That was
Other
my
discussion?
point, you know, does the audit include some time of them explaining what that services would look like? And could it be flexible, like Steve suggested, a bridge?
Yeah, so she,
Onboarding, would they be onboarding a new candidate versus the existing director onboarding?
You can, yeah, go ahead.
I can if interested. So yes, that's exactly what they do for districts this size in particular. So they often will fill a gap if either we can't find someone or you choose to wait. So they would come in and take care of what's considered to be the most essential tasks of the business office, which means some of the other things that happen will have to be figured out internally, which does cause some issue. I would say level of service of some things that currently happen through that office would likely not be completed to the level it is now. But the short answer is that CISA does and can absolutely do that. And they, you know, I think you already have the dollar amount of what it will cost per day. So that's very possible.
Yeah, she says right in here, 1 day to meet with staff to discuss duties, responsibilities, meet with the superintendent, see what's been working, what can be improved. Another day or 2 to review job descriptions, surveys, comparables, and then write a report.
Yeah, so along those lines, my concern is, you know, we're going through all this work to find, you know, to select a superintendent. It'd be nice for them to have input as far as where we're going with this position.
Yeah, so I agree with that. The problem is timing, and I think I heard tonight that post the position, hire it, and a new superintendent will figure it out. My only other statement I want to make about the audit is I don't want, as a board member, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds of day-to-day operations. It's not the role of us. The role is to hire the superintendent and then let them run. But because now we have 2 positions that we're trying to fill, I am a little more open to doing an audit of operations so that a new superintendent and a new business manager, they have a good suggestion and they can run with it.
Could hurt from a third-party take.
Yeah. Outside of that, I wouldn't be in favor of because that's not our role, but
What's the timing again of the current director's contract ending?
June 30th.
I mean, it could work out really well to have the audit done and maybe we find somebody relatively seamless.
Okay, so there's a motion, there's a second. Any further discussion? Dan, Dean? Lori, anyone add? All right, would you like a roll call vote?
Sure.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Steve, let's start with you.
I'm gonna say no.
Yes.
Corey, yes. Ian?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Motion passes 6-1. Okay, so this will be back on June 4th. That posting will be open until the 6th. And I will get the information to CISA. If I see something, I will forward it out via email, so you all have opportunity to look at it as well. Item number 7, this is a shared service contract for approval from CISA 9. Shannon?
Just coming back from the last meeting, I didn't receive any questions, but if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. But as I mentioned last time, this is something we bring forward annually every year. It's the one service we do with CISA 9 versus our regular CISA 12, or excuse me, CISA 11. So I'm looking for it to be approved, and we will scan it and send it off tomorrow.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the CISA 9 shared service contract.
I'll second.
Motion by Bruce, second by Lori.
So, yeah, just think CISA 11 does offer this now. They didn't before, but they do now. So I don't know if we talk to Jason to see if there's a reason we use CISA 9, but CISA 11 does offer it now.
I'm not aware of that, I don't know. We've only ever used CISA 9. So.
Yeah, he said they didn't, CISA 11 didn't offer it, but now they do. Not that it, but we could go through it since they are
They have a relationship already,
with CISA
Jason
9.
with CISA 9.
Yep.
And the-
Yeah, this is what we've been using for
Right.
multiple years.
I wonder if, and would there be a price difference anyway?
Okay, it was a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Consent agenda. Would anybody like to make a motion on any of these items?
I'll make a motion to approve 8A, 1, B, 1 and 2, and C1.
Motion by Bruce, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ian. Any discussion?
I noticed the minutes of May 5th just now, those are not linked. Or you have to request access.
May 5th?
I should be able to
May
do that.
5th, yep.
Yeah, I can't get in there.
Oh, yeah, it's private.
I can fix it. I got it.
You good? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
And this one we got emailed earlier though, right?
Yes.
They were emailed, yeah.
Yep.
Are you okay?
We have them, but yeah.
Move forward, okay. Okay, so there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. General information, May 20th, which is tomorrow, 4 p.m. is the closed session. It's day 2 of our first round superintendent interviews. May 27th at 5:30, this is also a closed session, final superintendent interviews. As well as May 28th, closed session, which we will then move into open session at the conclusion. And this will be for a final hiring decision of the position of superintendent. District celebrations. Danny, I start with you.
Wax Museum, 3rd grade is coming up on Friday. It should be really good. The kids are excited. I had 4 kids out on my deck yesterday practicing, and it sounds really great.
Thanks. Bruce?
I guess like you said, I know, Alicia, would you mind throwing on here, adding the June 4th one since it's kind of an off day? The
Oh.
information portion,
Under general information.
just for the next one. I know it would be good just because it's not the 2nd, it's the 4th.
On the
Right,
next
and that is our
agenda.
next meeting.
For our
Oh.
next meeting is the 4th. And then on the 27th and 28th, do we have to figure out how the community, is there community involvement in some of those interviews, or is it just staff with HYA? Is there a time?
There is a
Sorry,
time
yes.
for community members.
Ask that again, sorry.
I talked with Mike or Scott, one of them, about this, how would this work? And there is a time that is set aside for community members to meet all 3 of the finalists and ask them questions, and these 3 finalists will rotate through. And Alicia, do you know what time that is and where that is yet?
That stuff will be coming out on our website this week, but multi-purpose room. And I have to pull out the docs for the exact time.
It's in the day in the district agenda.
On May 27th.
So I guess just looking, so if you want to move all of that, please look for that on our website so that you can be a part of that meeting with these
That'll be,
superintendents next Monday, or next Tuesday after,
May 27th.
or, yeah, May 27th. And then congratulations to all the graduates. Ceremony was great yesterday. Great job, Trent, Shannon, everyone, all the staff who were involved putting that together. Went well from everything I saw, so. Congratulations to all of them.
Thanks. Lori?
Thank you, Bruce, for making the speech, and Matt for attending and handing out diplomas. I was sorry that I missed it. Congratulations to graduates as well. Last Wednesday, our graduating seniors had their senior memory night, and as part of that, the beginning is the awarding of scholarships. through the Somerset Memorial Scholarship Fund. We awarded 54 scholarships for a total of $88,500. We're hosting the softball playoff, I think it's the first playoff game on Tuesday, the 27th, and the baseball playoff on Thursday, the 29th, here in Somerset, both of them. And Arcadia is who we're going to be playing against, so I hope people can make it out to that. We're having our annual community day on June 5th, where anybody in the community who needs help with yard work or other tasks, there's a link on the last Spartan Scoop where you can click on it and it brings you to a form and you can fill in your name and what you need to be done. And if you'd prefer, you can contact Kelly Emerson at the high school. And also congratulations to Kristen Kraft, who was recognized by WCASS for her outstanding achievement in special education to the Somerset community.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, you guys covered it all. School's over by our next meeting, right?
Last day Thursday?
It's
Okay.
the last week, our meeting.
Or, that is the fourth, but okay.
Well, I'll take the opportunity to thank our teachers, staff, and administrators for a great year.
Last week's choir concert was phenomenal. It was great and fun to watch all the senior activities. Missed being able to be at the graduation, but fun to watch all those, and like they what they did at the choir concert where they had a board showing all the accomplishments where the students are going. So very exciting stuff. Great time.
Yeah, it's similar with Facebook, the postings we're seeing of the graduates and where they're headed to, what their future plans are. It's nice to see.
You guys covered everything. I was gonna say graduation and the senior posting on Facebook, but it's been covered. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Corey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Steve, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting's adjourned.